The answer really is you're going to have to nut up, sack up and sacrifice. Whether that be sacrificing sleep, whether that be sacrificing the things that are knocking you off your path, like your vices, bad habits. Um, I highly doubt that you're utilizing every hour of your 24 hours to the best of your ability. What I would suggest, guys, is getting a schedule, getting a 24-hour time block, and being like, how am I using every single minute of my day? And now it might take some time to write out this, but if you're not even prepared to directly address and acknowledge where you're at, why you're doing what you're doing, well, you're never going to be able to make yourself a priority. And then when you do that, then you're going to, if you don't do that, then you're going to start being fed into that belief that society tells you that you have children, that means you can't have your own individual goals. Well, for me, when people told me that when I was like 20 years old and found out that me and my ex are going to have a baby, that's scary, man. You know, you got all these goals, these visions, all these dreams that you want to have with your life, and then society around me, the people around me were telling me that, like, oh, now you're not going to be able to do that because you're going to have the responsibility of a kid. And I was like, that's not going to happen. That's going to be more motivation for me to dig deeper in the direction of my goals, because I know that for me to be the right father for whatever my kid, you know, for if it was going to be a son or a daughter, it's a daughter now, but you know what I'm saying, like, in order for me to be the best for her, I knew that I would have to pursue my goals, to set an example for her to pursue her goals, not to listen to these brain dead people of society who've given up on theirs because they weren't willing to put in the hard work and sacrifice in order to achieve their goals. So I was like, okay, I don't see my daughter as the point of blame. I'm the one responsible for having her. Therefore, I'm also responsible for ensuring she has the best life possible. How do I think she'll have the best life possible? Is she has a dad and a mum that pursues their goals, pursues their vision, pursues their dreams, and encourages her to do the same. So I understood that even though I was young and hadn't worked out all of the financial habits or all of the business habits, or I was still figuring out my own path of where I wanted to take life, it was like I knew I had to get to that point as fast as possible. I had to take my personal development really seriously so that I could spend the most amount of time with her and with my ex, teaching them the right way to do things, whilst able to provide for them, while spending time with them, because I wanted to spend the time with people that I loved. I wanted to do the things that I love for my work as well. And so what I started doing to do that, man, I was honest with where I was at with my life. I wasn't enjoying my job. I was working at a computer store in sales, and it was just really like soul crushing, man. Like working in these bright lights all day and just like, I don't. It might be your passion, man, but it wasn't mine. Like talking about computers and trying to sell Microsoft Word to people for, no, it's just, bruh. It ain't for me, man. I'm a lifter. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. I love being outside. I love working on cars. I love traveling. I love Japan. I love exploring. I love learning. It's just like, it wasn't for me. It was not exciting at all. But it was a means to the ends while I figured out things. So I'm there. I'm feeling pretty depressed. I'm like, damn, I've got a kid coming. Got this responsibility. I need to sort out my shit ASAP. So knowing that I had a kid coming made me like mature really quick and be like, no, I have to have an urgency right now and value today. So I looked at where I was spending my time. I'm like, okay, in this area, I need to step up because it's wasting my time in that. Like, I need to be more selfish with my time and saying no to things, as well as being more selfless in the things that I do choose to partake in, so I can be the best version of myself for them. And I didn't get super layered about that right at the start, guys. Like, I didn't get in the journal or anything like that and really get that super accountability. And honestly, like I said, I'm answering some of these questions in hindsight of like different periods of my life where I've learned these lessons. Like right at the time though, the decision that I made was what I thought was the best decision at the time, which was, okay, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I've got to buy my time back. How can I do that? I had a passion for cars. I absolutely love like Japanese cars. I love Japan. I was building these drift cars and that kind of stuff, like Skylines, Silvias, Rotaries, Supras, all that stuff. Absolutely love it, man. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to build my own and I'm going to sell them. And so I started doing that as like kind of like a side hustle, turned into a main business. And that was like my way of transitioning out of like the workforce and start working for myself and trying to buy my time back. Fast forward a few years where I had to split up with my ex after I had my baby, and just, you know, life kind of just like took a really big drastic change, and I kind of got off that path of progression in some ways because I was just feeling so crap about myself, and just like kind of like beating myself up with the pain that I caused my daughter and my ex and myself, and you know, all that fear and all that kind of stuff I talk about in other videos. But you know, that's obviously behind me now. But just I talk about that pain because I want to relate to you guys who might be going through it. Okay, but obviously I can talk about this as a hero's perspective, someone who's gone through it and overcome it, because I have. And lessons that I then learned after that breakup and after I'd gone through that pity party, poor me mentality, was that I had to then get even more specific with my goals and even more specific with the direction and vision and mission of my life in order to step up to a higher level, a higher accountability, to be the better man I could be for my daughter. So I realized when I got back into that journal was that I was not balanced anymore with my approach of personal development. I was going too far into the gym. I wasn't focusing on business enough. I was living at my parents' house at the time, and it was just like, it was not going well, man. I was arguing with my family. I wasn't feeling like it was the right place for us. I really knew I had to get out there. So I was like, all right, I got to smash these cars, build them, flip up, and get out. So that's what I did, man. And at the point in time, I was still training, but in order for me to spend time with my daughter that I was getting limited access to, I started having to make sure that in order to prioritize my health and my mental well-being, that I had to get up early in the morning. So I started getting up really early and having that disciplined habit. And at the start, I was tired for a few days with getting up early and going to bed earlier. But then after like day one, day two, it just was like, okay, this is what I have to do. And so how you prioritize the balance between your goals and being a father is realize that you got to just eliminate the excuses. Like, get real with yourself. Now I'm ruthless with my excuses. I'm like, I don't really watch TV. I don't waste time on social media. I don't waste time like doing things that I shouldn't be doing, or socializing when I haven't hit my goals. It's like I've made a choice that my goals mean so much more than temporary satisfaction, that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to go and achieve them. And like, part of my goals, guys, is spending the most amount of quality time I can with my family, as well as being ripped, being shredded, being jacked, being able to travel wherever I want to, whenever I want to, being able to provide for the people that I love, however they need it, whenever they need it. Like, those are my goals, man. And everything else kind of like works around that, and have these different passions and interests and hobbies and everything else like that too. But like, you have to make a decision that if you're going to go all in on being the best version of yourself and for your loved ones and for God, then you're going to have to sacrifice things of lesser value to those goals and to that definition of what you think success is. And then it's been brutal and accountable to like a daily system of habits that are going to build that man. And so you have to go and get a schedule and be like, all right, where am I like lacking? It's like, if you can write down how you spend your day, and then have a look at that list and be like, is this pushing me towards my path or away from my path that I need to be on? And if you can be like, okay, make a list of all things that are not. For example, if you're on the toilet for half an hour doom scrolling when you should be working, you should be like spending time with your family. Or if you're like with your family and you're not present because you're thinking about work, because you haven't worked hard enough or learned the skill set enough, so that therefore you don't have the results you have, so you're not present when you're with your kids. You have to be honest about all that stuff, man. Write it all down. And if you cross all those things out, then you have the time to work on your goals. You just got to pair that honesty with a brutal accountability and a relentless pursuit to fix those inadequacies and those weaknesses, and build that skill set that overcomes all that. If you feel like a bit stuck with not knowing if it's right or wrong, well, guys, just partner with God and ask him, be like, God, can you please reveal to me like where I'm not honoring you with my time, where I'm not honoring you with my priorities? Like, am I on the right path? And ask more questions like that. Like, the further you can dive deeper into that relationship with Christ, the faster you can learn the lessons, the faster you can learn where you're coming up short, because he's going to give you the right path to take. And if you can start with the framework of, if it's causing me regret, if it's out of line to the Word of God, yes, guys, that means you have to go and study the Word of God to know what is a godly standard and what's not. But generally you can get guided by regret and your conscience and hearing the voice of God too. It's like all those things together is going to steer you in the right direction. So acknowledge that there's things trying to knock you off your path. There's active warfare, spiritual warfare, that's trying to keep you from being the best man you can be for loved ones. That's trying to separate you from the love of God and from your God mission, your God purpose. And then treat it like the fight that it is. You prioritize yourself and you succeed in your goals by prioritizing God first, and then you have the right heart posture, you have the right wisdom to go and attack your day with. Because when you sit in God's presence, he'll give you the wisdom and education and the understanding that is far surpassing your own or any other man can tell you about your situation. He gives you the wisdom through his word, through prayer, and then you won't have fear or scarcity making the important decisions of your life. For example, if you're going through a financial struggle, but God's told you to go down this path specifically because you may not understand it at the time, but there's a lesson he needs to teach you going down that path if you would just trust him with it. But if you said, okay, here's where I think you're calling me, God, but I'm going to go and go off this path, and go work 2 or 3 jobs to get out of this current financial situation that I have, well, then you don't get to learn the lesson of trusting him through that period, or know that where his impact, he's asking you to have some type of impact in that path that he's called you down. You're missing that opportunity to go and do that. And there's something so much greater there had you just listened and trusted God. But you won't know how to trust God, you won't know how to listen to God if you don't sit in his presence and then try and obey him, just one small step of faith, 1 inch of faith at a time. Like one little step is what starts building the relationship. It starts building that snowball effect. It's that same, guys, if you take that one little step in the direction of your vices, how it robs you of your belief and it starts causing you to go off that path as well. It's the same as if you take 1 extra rep in the gym, day in, day out, stacks up to someone who can build like a sculpted physique, you know? So these principles work across the board. You just have to think about them before you do them. And so I just encourage you guys, like, get strong in your faith, man. Like, when times are tough, go to God. When times are easy, go to God. Like, he's always the first option, not the last resort. So treat him as such and put him in his place of honor. And you'll avoid so much pain. You'll avoid so many lessons that you don't need to learn through pain and through suffering. Rather, you can learn them through experience from other people, experience from people in the Bible, and through wisdom. And you can really save yourself and your family a lot of pain by that way, guys. I'm not saying that you don't get to have any pain and suffering in life. No, you need to have that in order to build and strengthen your character as well. But there's a purpose and a reason for every season, you know. And I can't tell you what that's going to be for you. I can tell you what some of these were for me and the experiences that I've had. But you know, it's all going to be individual. But what's always going to remain the same for everyone is the constant of God. So go to him, draw close to him, and he's going to guide you on the right path. He's going to help you structure that day correctly. He's going to give you the patience and the perseverance and the trust and the peace to be able to organize your day correctly, as well as help you overcome the things that are trying to knock you off your path too, guys. So that's my advice to you. And yeah, get after it, man. This life is yours for the taking. It's up to you if you want it, but that commitment is going to create like a life that like is just so much better than a life where you're uncommitted, out of shape, not being the person you want to become. Ask the deep questions, man. God is waiting for you. He's calling you through your conscience. Up to you if you're going to answer that call. But when you do, man, you partner your goals, your everything, man. Like, you partner everything with God, you're going to have success, and it's going to be so much greater than you could ever have imagined or built on your own strength. Trust him, partner with him. Life's going to be great. Love you guys. Thank you for watching.